What's good, my friends? This is a Friday episode of the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It is Offsides, MARC RYAN and DIESEL, and we are the Fan Upstate rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Thrilled to have you guys with us. You have a ton of choices out there. We truly do appreciate you making us part of your day. Here's how you can take part in the show. You can give us a ring at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. The CarPro.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word FAN, and away you go on the show. Here is what's coming up on Offsides today. We're going to have a blue blood conversation. Half of my blood is already blue. The other half is orange. We're going to discuss the future of bowl games. You may not like what you hear. We're going to speak to Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beaird on the show today. Oh, that's right. Trey, you sent me questions for Brent Beaird, didn't you? Can you resend those to me to my email? I will try to get to at least one or two of those with Brent today. When would I fire Shane Beamer? When would I fire Billy Napier? And when would I have the uncomfortable conversation with Dabo Sweeney? A Christmas shopping update you're not going to want to miss. We've got the top 5 at 5. We've got Wise Guys Wisdom. And we have you here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. All sorts of fired up to be here with you on a Friday, my friends. Just all sorts of pumped up to be here today. Do want to give you, and Trey's already forwarded me his questions. This is outstanding. Want to update you on a few programming things that we've got coming up. All right. This weekend, we've got a triple header of NFL action coming your way tomorrow here on the Fan Upstate. Cincinnati, Minnesota, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Denver, Detroit on Sunday. Atlanta versus Carolina, where tickets are hot and they're going for $8 a pop. Will be on WROQ. Diesel with the Carolina kickoff show. Is that an hour and a half before, Diesel?
It's 2 hours before, so it'll be 11 to noon.
Okay, 11 to noon. There you go. We are also going to be having Houston, Tennessee this weekend, as well as Buffalo versus Dallas, Baltimore versus Jacksonville, and Monday Night Football, Philadelphia versus Seattle. Then on Tuesday, we will have Furman and Presbyterian in college basketball coming your way. Also, guys, want to let you know that this is a crazy schedule. I'm honored about it, but it's crazy nonetheless. This coming Saturday. Now, again, we'll have NFL games on the Fan Upstate, okay? On the Fan Upstate. But tomorrow I will be on CBS Sports Radio 5 to 10 p.m. And then I will keep you posted on what the holiday schedule will be. But there's going to be a nice little break beginning on Wednesday of next week. Don't worry. Wednesday is early signing day, and Diesel and I have already discussed a plan to push out some content for you guys on all of the above. And while I am there, do want to congratulate Shane Beamer and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Kyle Kennard, a 4-star transfer portal defensive lineman from Georgia Tech, has selected the Gamecocks as his next destination. South Carolina is now number 2 in the transfer portal rankings. To who, Diesel? Who's number 1 in the transfer portal rankings? Now, you might say, Diesel, I don't have a clue. And I'm going to say, Diesel, you do have a clue. It's your first guess. Who's number 1 in the transfer portal rankings?
I'm going to guess and say that it's Alabama.
No, I'm going to give you a one-word clue. I'm going to say bling.
Oh, it's Dion and Prime in Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado's.
I was just thinking like maybe Alabama was able to get 2 or 3 elite, like tippy top of the iceberg, and that was enough to put them over the hurdle.
There you go. There you go. Well, Beamer's number 2. Now 6 commitments in the transfer portal for one Shane Beamer. Kyle Kennard, 6 sacks last year for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. 6 sacks last year. Also, to start the show today, Brandon Staley has been bleep canned by the Los Angeles Chargers.
And man, the media was rough on him last night.
Well, Diesel, is there a way you could be is anything rough given what the effort that his team showed last night?
No, I get it. I understand why they were rough on him. I'm just saying they were rough. It's like the questions that Dave Tepper was getting a week and a half ago.
Maybe he likes it rough, Diesel. You never know.
Yeesh.
You never know.
Some like it hot, some like it rough.
You never know. Brandon Staley gone as Los Angeles Chargers coach. Hey, guess what? Sean Payton wanted that job. They said no. Brian Daboll wanted that job. They said no. They hired a coordinator with 1 year of coordinating experience. That's okay. South Carolina hired a non-coordinator with 0 years of coordinating experience. Hey, sometimes you swing and you learn on the job and you see how you do. You see how you do, my friends. Okay. I would like to start the show today with this. The SEC schedule was released the night before last. All right. And we touched on this briefly yesterday, but I want to share the following with you. I have established, my own schedule scorecard. So I have ranked the SEC schedules for next year. Now, what I'd love to do here is here's how I'll just share with you how I've done the grading, right? Each game that is on each team's schedule, I assigned a 1 through 10 value to based on the difficulty of that opponent, right? Just scale of 1 to 10. What were they this year? What do I expect them to be next year? Okay. Just 1 to 10 difficulty. Each team plays 12 games. You add up the number at the end, tells you who has the most difficult schedule. So what I want to do at the beginning, is I want to tell you the 1 through 10 score that I had for everybody in the SEC. And you and Diesel, etc., can bitch and moan if you want. It's not going to change anything. No, I'm just kidding. If there's any serious discrepancies, we will address them, okay? But here's what I've got for the SEC teams. Florida's a 5. South Carolina's a 4. Tennessee is a 6.5. Texas A&M is a 6.5. Texas is an 8.5. Alabama's a 10. Georgia's a 10. LSU's a 7.5. Ole Miss is a 7. Oklahoma is an 8. Vanderbilt is a 2. Kentucky is a 6. Mississippi State is a 3.5. Arkansas is a 4. Auburn is a 5. And Missouri is a 7.5. Those are my grades in terms. So if you have Kentucky on your schedule, you're playing a 6, right? You're playing a 6. So what about the non-conference games, Mark? I'm so glad you asked. I've gave Clemson a 7.5. Okay. So remember, Alabama's a 10, Georgia's a 10, Texas is an 8.5. I gave Clemson next year the same grade as LSU, 7.5, and Missouri, 7.5. A tick ahead of Ole Miss at 7. Based on what I've seen, that seems fair to me, right? That seems fair. So when you put all of this together and you put all the wrappings on it with many pretty bows, here are the strength of schedule ratings in the SEC. All right. And Diesel, Eli Drinkwitz, this strategy is pretty lame. It's the Kentucky strategy. Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, Vanderbilt are the first 4 games.
Honestly, Buffalo might be their toughest out-of-conference game. 5
of the first 6 games, Diesel, also include those 4 and UMass, Diesel.
Ooh.
UMass.
Yeah, trying really to build up that strength of schedule.
Missouri then ends the season with South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. Missouri has the easiest schedule in the SEC. Their schedule score, 51.5. last out of 16 SEC schools. Again, 51.5. Ole Miss is in 15th place, schedule score of 55. Tied for 13th, we have Tennessee and Texas A&M. You're the only 10 I see. Tennessee has non-conference games against Chattanooga, NC State, Grayson McCall. That could be somewhat interesting, right? Kent State and UTEP. Diesel, Tennessee should be ashamed. Chattanooga.
Yeah, it's all about going undefeated now.
Kent State and UTEP. Well, at least those programs had the foresight to schedule like that. My school went with Miami, UCF, and Florida State. Yes, Samford is mixed in there too, but Miami, UCF, and Florida State. So anyway, Texas A&M and Tennessee are in 13th place at 58.5. Kentucky is going to Kentucky. They're number 12. Non-conference schedule includes Southern Miss, Ohio, Murray State. That's so bad. And Louisville. They also have Vanderbilt on the schedule. Kentucky also has, let's see here, no South Carolina on the schedule. That's interesting for Kentucky. They're in 12th place, 11th place in the schedule rankings. Texas, first year in the SEC. Texas's schedule score is a 61. So remember, Missouri's schedule score 51.5. Now we're in 11th place, and Texas is a 61. Texas, Diesel, check this out, has a non-conference game against Michigan. I don't care what else you have on your non-conference schedule. They've got Louisiana Monroe, UTSA, and Colorado State. If you've got Texas on there, the SEC schedule isn't awful. All right. They do have Georgia and Oklahoma, which is brutal, but then they have Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M. Ninth place, tied for ninth place, we have Alabama and LSU. Alabama next year. These schools were a year ahead in terms of getting their tough non-conference games out of the way, Diesel. Alabama's non-conference, Western Kentucky, South Florida, Mercer, and Wisconsin. Woo, Wisconsin. Then you have LSU. LSU gets Southern Cal. Respect. Also, LSU gets UCLA. What is LSU doing? This is not how you make a 12-team playoff.
Well, look, we will see. This will all equal out. I mean, you and I both know that anytime there's a major change like this, people try to game the system in a way that they think will put them in the best position to be wherever it is they want to be. In this situation, you're assuming you're wanting to be in that 12-0, 11-1, 10-2 range to get into this 12-team playoff. They're trying to schedule as easy as they can out of conference to give themselves the best chance to get up there and win 10 games. But eventually, it may take a few years of a lot of 12-win teams, a lot of 11-win teams for the committee to start saying, oh, okay, well, yeah, but you played nobody, so you got to play a little tougher than this. I think we're going to go through about 5 to 10 years of bad, boring, out-of-conference football for a lot of teams who are strategically trying to reach the 12-team playoff, and eventually something will have to change where they have to start scheduling a little bit harder again.
So Alabama and LSU tied for ninth place, schedule score 62. In eighth place, it's Mississippi State with 63 points. Seventh place, now in the top half of SEC schedules, Arkansas, 63.5 points. We have a tie for fifth place, Auburn and Vanderbilt with 64 points. Auburn has a non-conference schedule that is very much a joke. Alabama, A&M, California, New Mexico, and Louisiana Monroe. Now, you told me, Diesel, it's Louisiana that was the laugh out loud, right?
Correct.
Not Monroe. Okay.
That's Lafayette.
Okay.
They are still officially, academically, Louisiana Lafayette.
Okay.
Athletically, they are the University of Louisiana.
Problem for Auburn is their SEC schedule isn't very kind. They have back-to-back-to-back games, Diesel, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Missouri. All right? Then they close the year with A&M and Alabama. Ay, caramba. Auburn, schedule strength 64. tied for third. We haven't mentioned a certain team yet in terms of their schedule strength. Tied for third, we've got Georgia and South Carolina. Now, Georgia opens next season with Clemson. Georgia also has Alabama on the schedule in Tuscaloosa. Then, Diesel, Georgia gets Texas in Austin. They get Ole Miss in Oxford. Oh, this is like a screw job for all of the cupcake schedules that Georgia's put up in recent years. Ole Miss in Oxford. They get Tennessee as well. Clemson, Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Have fun with that, Georgia. Have a great time. South Carolina tied for third place with Georgia. On my list, here's what they've got. South Carolina gets LSU in Columbia. They get Ole Miss in Columbia. Then they've got South Carolina's got back-to-back games, Diesel. Ole Miss, Alabama, and Oklahoma. And Alabama and Oklahoma are on the road. All right? They have A&M on the schedule. They have Missouri on the schedule. And they have Clemson on the schedule. South Carolina has tied for the third hardest schedule in the SEC. Their schedule score is 66. All right? Second place, second hardest schedule in the SEC, Oklahoma. I don't know why, because the non-conference schedule, Diesel, I mean, Willie Fritz is no longer at Tulane, so what are they going to be? That could be tricky, right? So Oklahoma has Temple, Houston, Tulane, and Maine.
They hired John Summerall from Troy.
Yeah. Then in the SEC, here's the problem for Oklahoma. They get Tennessee. They get Texas. They get Ole Miss in Oxford. They get Missouri at Missouri. They get Alabama. And isn't this hilarious? The SEC chose this, Diesel.
Welcome to the SEC.
They get Alabama, Diesel, and then they get at LSU.
Do you remember the movie Necessary Roughness when the big, bad, mean lineman pushes the girl down and he says, "Welcome to football"? So she stands up, kicks him right in the beans and says, "Welcome to football." This is welcome to football.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Good luck, Oklahoma, with that. Hey, you guys wanted to be in. Hey, South Carolinas of the world. You guys voted to include Oklahoma and Texas. Little buyer's remorse much? Diesel. The hardest schedule in the SEC. So Oklahoma's schedule score is a 68. Okay. Missouri's is last schedule score 51.5. Oklahoma's second, the score is 68. The hardest schedule in the SEC with a schedule score of 76. Florida's schedule score is 10 points higher than every other team except for Oklahoma, and it's 8 points higher than Oklahoma. Florida's schedule is the hardest in the SEC. Grading this completely objectively based on the teams that were on the schedule. I didn't know what the number was going to be until we added them up. Sorry, choking on a splinter over here. Florida has the aforementioned Miami, UCF, and Florida State on the schedule. Then they get Texas A&M, Tennessee in Knoxville, Georgia in Jackson. Diesel, you got to be kidding me with this. These 5 games, right, are all back to back. No bye week anywhere. Georgia, at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, at Florida State. Good night now. Good night now.
Are you familiar with the Middle Ages torture device called an Iron Maiden?
I've heard of it.
It's like a large box, roughly the shape of the human body, and the inside is lined with spikes, hundreds of them. And then they would just slowly close the door on people.
Yeah.
That's what it's like for Florida next year.
Yep.
You're just standing there with a bunch of spikes closing in on you. Whew.
Diesel, is Miami and Gainesville a winnable game for Florida? At Florida, it's winnable, right? Sanford is a win. Is A&M at Gainesville a winnable game? Yeah. Mississippi State and Starkville, a winnable game? Yeah. Central Florida in Gainesville, is that a winnable game? Yeah. So the first 5 games are winnable. Maybe, just maybe, you go 4-1 in those 5 games, okay? At Tennessee and hosting Kentucky, can you win one of those 2? Then you're 5-2. Then, Diesel, you have that end-of-season gauntlet where you win 1, you're in the bowl game. Problem is, they had the same gauntlet to end the year this year. They didn't win 1, right? So they had Missouri dead to rights. We all know how that game ended, right? So Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State to end the year for Florida. If there has been a more difficult, I'm telling you, some of those games, Florida's going to lose by 30, 40. You know, like team is all banged up. Team is mentally checked out. Some of these games, they're going to lose by 30-plus points.
Where's the state of Florida suing the SEC for irreparable harm to the Florida brand?
Right.
You know?
Good
I mean, what they're
God.
doing is probably going to cause Billy Napier to be fired, and it's going to set the Florida program back for another 3 to 5 years.
I've made a lot of friends, Diesel, with my take on Rocket Sanders. SC Cards 003 says, I see why you work for a little radio program in the upstate. Nobody in the profession takes you serious. What is he upset about, ladies and gentlemen? I'll tell you. Next, here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere, it's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel. And we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Thrilled to have you guys with us. Could not do it without you. Could not do it without you. All right. I want to touch base with you guys about this topic. All right. What do you make of these schedules, by the way? There has not been a more difficult 5-game stretch in the history of the sport than what Florida closes the season with. And sadly, because he's a good dude, I think Billy Napier is very, very likely going to be coaching for his job in that hardest slate ever in college football history. At Florida, you simply have, at best, 3 years to do something. Okay? 3 years. It doesn't matter that you started behind the 8 ball in year 1. You got 3 years. Texter says, Mark, firing Brandon Staley was a travesty. Staley versus the Chargers was the second best rivalry in the NFL. Second only to Dave Tepper versus the Carolina Panthers. UNC Chris, I really like your text messages. I really like them. There's a snark and a bite to them that is very becoming of you. Texter says, Mark, also Venables has experience with a lot of those SEC teams, having been the defensive coordinator for Clemson as long as he was. Texter says, after hearing the USC and Florida schedules, I'm questioning who would want those jobs, and I'm not kidding. What kind of coach can step into that meat grinder and manage expectations and recruit top 10 classes? Well, Billy Napier has a top 5 class right now. Spur Daddy says, Mark, the Gators better start 6-1 next year, or I see 5-7 again. Yeah, we're already at the first 3-year losing streak in Florida football history. 3-season losing streak. All seasons were L's.
I don't know what that's like.
Years. Yeah, well, you've never had it?
Not 3 in a row.
Not 3 in a row of losing?
No.
Are you sure? Can I look that up and find that you're wrong? 1906 to 1909. I'm going to try.
If they were playing in leather helmets, I don't think it counts.
Oh, come on.
Throwing around actual pigs.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So let's discuss this. The blue blood conversation. All right. Now, we're asking you, who are the blue bloods of sports? I have tweeted out the teams that have won 3 or more national championships in the last 30 seasons. Pop quiz, Diesel. Pop quiz. Get a swig of the hydration. All right. Pop quiz. What 5 programs have all won at least 3 national championships in the last 30 years? This would mean that these 5 teams have won at least half of the available national championships in the last 30 years. Who are they?
So that's going back to 1993. Alabama's won 3. Clemson's won 2, so they don't count. Georgia hasn't won 3. They've won 2 in a row.
We're at a sterling 1 thus far, Diesel.
Yeah, I know. This is hard. It's not Michigan. Ohio State, have they won 3 in the last 30? God,
No.
I don't know. Help me out.
All right. I'll give you 1, and then I want you to keep guessing. LSU.
They've won 3?
They won 3.
They've won 3. I didn't think LSU. I mean, I obviously knew they won the Burrow one. Is that going all the way back to one of Nick Saban's
It is.
titles with them? Oh, yeah. And oh God, blanking on his name. They went to Kansas. He won.
Les Miles.
Les Miles won a title with them. That's right. Okay. And then number 3.
Okay, we got 3, 4, and 5.
Oh God, there's 3 more to choose
3
from.
more. 3 more.
Gosh.
Okay, I'm going to give you a clue. Okay, this program is in Middle America, and really hasn't done squat for just about 30 years. Okay.
If we're going all the way back to the 90s, did Nebraska win 3 in the 90s?
Ding, ding, ding. What do you have for?
Gosh.
And the other clue was going to be there's a Carolina connection there.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Okay.
Nebraska. And your omission of these 2 is deeply offensive to me.
Oh. Did you ask me this question just so that I could bring up that Florida had won 3 national titles?
Not just Florida, but Florida State. Florida State, Alabama, LSU, and Nebraska, the only programs in college football, my friends, that have won national championships, 3 at least, in the last 30 years. That, in my opinion, makes them blue bloods. How can they not? 3 in the last 30? When your kids are growing up, who are the blue bloods? Those 5, right? Now, what does it mean to be a blue blood? All right. In American sports, the term blue bloods and college basketball is used in reference to programs considered to be among the most elite, either contemporaneously or historically, now or then. Outside of sports, blue blood is used as an alternative term for nobility, right? Nobility. So I asked myself today, Diesel, who are the blue bloods in basketball? And I said, Mark, don't look this up. Just what comes to your mind immediately, and then we'll add from there. And what came to my mind immediately was Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, and UCLA. Okay? Those 4 immediately came to mind. When I had to think of it, I cut it off. Then I looked it up, and they said there's considered to be 9 blue bloods in college basketball. The other 5, and this one probably should have been on my mind to start, Kentucky, Michigan State. I mean, Kentucky, for all that's good and holy, their colors are blue, and I don't have them as a blue blood. Kentucky, Michigan State, Indiana, Connecticut, and Villanova. But I would argue, Diesel, like one of these 2, Nebraska or Indiana, who is closer to falling out of this? Because Indiana hasn't done squat, and Nebraska hasn't done squat. How long can you ride the coattail of the movie Hoosiers?
At least.
How long can you do that?
At least Nebraska. By the way, Hoosiers was not about Indiana.
Right.
It was about a high school.
Right.
Nebraska still has the cachet of football around here, at least. I don't know how they feel about Indiana basketball in the Midwest. I don't know if they still have any kind of cachet whatsoever. But yeah, Like Indiana basketball, once people realize that, they don't have an elite level coach like a Bob Knight there, nobody wants to go there to play basketball. Like, who wants to go and spend 4 years of their life in Indiana?
I drove through it recently, Diesel. There was nothing there.
Not impressed, huh?
It was nothing there. And what got me is it looked shockingly just like rural parts of the South. Like you're driving through. I'm like, I didn't expect the country to look exactly the same. Now, Indianapolis is really cool. Really cool. But the rest of Indiana, it's just like the most rural state you could ever drive through. Really. All right, guys. So I ask you this question. Do you guys sign on to Florida being a blue blood? Who are your football blue bloods? Who are your basketball blue bloods? What is your definition of blue blood? That is next. And this is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, everybody? It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. I'm finding this deeply offensive. Diesel informed me during the break that Appalachian State, I can't really get away with calling them Crap-Appalachian State if they've never had 3 straight losing seasons, and Florida has.
3 times for Florida, at least that we know of.
Yeah. What do you mean?
19, 16, 17, and 18. I'm going down the list as we speak. That's the number 1. Let's see. We go to 31 and 32, and they lost 2 years in a row, losing seasons 2 years in a row. 35, 36, and 37. 38 also. So you've had 4 losing seasons in a row.
Well, okay.
In the mid-30s.
Okay.
And then you get to 41, 42, 43. Oh, you didn't play in 43. So 41, 42, 44, 45, 46, and 47. I don't know if those count in a row because there was no team in 1943. So you may get out of that on a technicality.
But 44, 45, 46, and 47, there were 4
Correct.
4 consecutive losing
No,
seasons?
excuse me. I'm sorry. 1944, you went 4-3.
That's right.
So 45, 46,
right.
47.
That's right. That was the
And
last
then
one.
You had a barn burner of a 5-5 season in 1948.
Yep.
Losing season in 49.
Yep. What's happening is Florida is regressing to the mean right now. Florida's going back to what they were before Steve Spurrier.
15th place is going to look good on you guys.
Grace the school. Oh, Diesel, would you cut that out? Would you cut that out?
I mean, Vanderbilt's going to come in 16th, so you got that going for
but
you.
Diesel, like the reality is you could very well be 10th and be in 15th with that schedule. Yeah. I mean, very well be in 10th.
Is Charlie Pell a dirty word in Gainesville, Florida?
No, he's not beloved, but he's respected.
He went 0-10 in 1979.
Yeah. Oh, Lou Holtz, South Carolina, right? Same difference. So, guys, we're asking you, please don't offend me here. Some of you are already attempting to do so. But who are the blue bloods in sports? Okay. Now, Texter says, Mark, the football blue bloods are Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Michigan, LSU, Florida, USC, Texas, Georgia, and Florida State. There's 11 there, Texter. I think you kind of got to limit it to 10. Don't tell me Florida's getting knocked out. Texter says, Mark, the only blue bloods in NCAA football, EA Sports, it's in the game, are Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Southern California, Notre Dame, Michigan, Nebraska, Texas. End of the list. Well, but can't you lose your blue blood status? Diesel, can you lose? 2 questions, Diesel. Is Florida a blue blood? And number 2, can you lose your blue blood status?
No, Florida's not a blue blood.
Very hurtful.
Look, you've done it. You've had a run one time. Okay. That's not enough to earn blue blood status. That is, I don't know what you would call it. Preferred status, wait list, if you want to call them a wait list program. But you're not a blue blood. You're on the wait list status. And same with Clemson. Clemson is not a blue blood program. Clemson is also on the wait list, which means you got to get it done again with another epic run. You got to do it multiple times. If Florida, and your window's slipping away, man, your window's slipping away fast, especially with these seasons you're having. Three losing seasons in a row. Ouch. Your blue blood or your wait list status is quickly slipping away from you. And Florida, to me, would have to win another title in the next 3 to 4 years to not let the great run you had in the late 90s and early 2000s.
All right, well, that's it.
It's like you can do the rest of the show yourself.
Time to go home. Batten down the hatches. That's all she wrote. No, Diesel. Look, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and there's merit to that. But be that as it may, the blue blood conversation is an interesting one. Everyone wants to be on the list. How do you get kicked off of the list, right? Is it 3 straight losing seasons? Does that get you kicked off the list? Is it 10 seasons without any significant accomplishment? This is unbelievably an incredibly dark time in Florida football history. Incredibly dark. As a matter of fact, I'm beginning to wonder if my move here has in fact been the worst possible luck for my football coverage. My team has been straight garbage. Then South Carolina has been picked up by the garbage men. And then Clemson has, outside of year one here, every season that I've been here has been worse than the one before it for Clemson. Every season. I guess not last year. They won the ACC again. But we're on back-to-back-to-back seasons with no college football playoff for Clemson. To what degree am I responsible for this? Texter said, Madcraft chiming in with his upset pick. Madcraft, that is great to see. Want to remind you guys, your last chance for this week to get in on the upset pick challenge, okay? We need your name on the carpro.com text line, 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go. Start your text, again, fan. We need your name, your game, and your point spread. The upset pick challenge participation closes when our show ends today at 7 p.m. What are you picking? You are picking the games that begin tomorrow through December 23rd, the first week of bowl games. December 16th through December 23rd. All right. Let's see here. Texter says, how many teams in basketball or football have won a natty with more than 2 coaches? I think all the rest are dynasty runs. Texter, I would love for you to do that research. I'm on the air right now. I don't have the chance to do that. Hit us back when you've done it. Texter says, Mark, the definition of blue blood is literally noble blood. So no, it's impossible to lose that status once you have it. But how do you attain it, though, Texter? How do you attain it? High Scold here. Mark loved Kelly Ford's new blood verbiage yesterday. Blue bloods are Bama, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and Notre Dame. He attaches a Canadian meh to Notre Dame, which is nice. New bloods due to NIL revamping, if you will. Miami, Florida State, USC, and Texas. All major markets. All major markets. Texter says, Mark, blue blood has to do more with how much you move the needle and national popularity. That's why Clemson is not quite on the list, but Michigan, and is this going to say Nebraska? And Notre Dame are, even though they have been better recently. Michigan's last national title, Diesel, is what?
I'm going to guess it was in the late 50s.
Michigan's
60s?
last 1998. Their last national champion. Okay? Last national champion. Notre Dame, Blue blood, you tell me. No national championship, wait for it, for Notre Dame since 1988. 1988. Really? Diesel, you were pooping your diapers the last time that Notre Dame won a national championship.
Yeah, I was probably running around the front yard naked. Couldn't stop me.
The last time Notre Dame won a New Year's Six Bowl. This is not a blue blood. 1994. The last time they won a New Year's Six Bowl. That will be 30 years old when the Cotton Bowl this year is played. 30 years old. Guys, stop it with this Notre Dame. You should have what Diesel, can you give me the criteria? Blue blood, like off the top of your head, what are the criteria?
I would say it's, first of all, prerequisite number one, you have to have multiple national championships. In my mind, you have to have achieved them under multiple head coaches. So if you want to say 2 head coaches won 4 national titles, they can't be more than 20 years apart. So they've got to be with 2. It's got to be multiple national titles within 20 years under multiple coaches with fewer than 3 losing seasons in the last 30.
Fewer than 3.
Fewer than 3. So that excludes Florida.
Okay.
Because they've lost 3 in a row the last 3 years.
So Diesel, let's make this a podcast. Diesel's criteria
Yeah.
for blue bloodism.
And this is just off the top of my head, okay? I didn't have time to think about this.
Well, we like it that way. We like you off the cuff. Texter says Ball State, and I have no idea why. I don't know even what that's pertaining to. Okay.
If Manscaped is not a major sponsor of Ball State, they're messing up.
They really are.
A big, big way.
They really are. Manscaping. I believe they could call all these blue bloods because they were the only ones people could watch on TV forever. I believe only Alabama can really be called a blue blood of college football if we're counting championships. I think there's more than one. What do you think about the Lakers trying to hang a banner in season for the in-season tournament? Lame. Lakers are going to hang a banner, Diesel, for winning the in-season NBA tournament.
If you want to hang those in the practice facility, fine. You don't hang them in your main arena.
Right. Biggest embarrassment I ever had, Diesel, as a Florida fan, going to my first Florida basketball game. They had 3 NIT Final Four banners. NIT Final Fours. And I looked at my friend and I said, we're never going to be a serious program so long as those are hanging up there. That is a joke.
If that's all you've got, if you're a program like mine, like App State, that doesn't make the NCAA tournament very often, and you've got NIT championship banners or appearance banners, and that's all you've got, hang them. Fine.
No, don't hang them.
Well, hang on. Hang them. But once you start making NCAA tournaments, you got to take them down. Like once you've raised your level of expectation of being an NCAA tournament team, you got to take all those NIT banners down. Again, hang them in a separate wing of the stadium, hang them in whatever trophy room that you have that you like to display the history of your program, because most schools have it. But don't put them out in the main arena.
I totally disagree, Diesel. Totally disagree. Establish your banner standard and then stick to that standard. It's okay not to have anything up. It still embarrasses me that Florida ever had an NIT Final Four banner hanging. All right, my friends, we've got Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beaird joining us next here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. It's Offsides. MARC RYAN and DIESEL, and we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Can I get an amen? Fantastic to have you guys with us. Truly do love and appreciate each and every one of you. Joined right now by someone we also feel that way about. Heisman Trophy voter. Very unique sounding and spelling of the last name. You could try 10 different times and you wouldn't get it right once. Brent Beaird joins us on the show. Brent, B-E-A-I-R-D, joins us. So, Brent, the last thing I ever want to do is be nosy. So who'd you vote for?
Well, Jaden Daniels,
Yes.
number one.
Yes.
And Michael Penix was number 2, and Jalen Milroe was number 3.
How about that? 1, 2, 3. So, it's suffice to say you nixed Bo from your Heisman Trophy ballot, Brent.
It was, it was almost a coin flip between the two, frankly. Bo, and I think this probably hurt Bo, was obviously in the Washington rematch, he struggled. Let's be honest. And look, he's gotten better since he was at Auburn. There is and I heard a commentator describe this, and he said there is and the way he put it was, he said there is a panic reflex in Bo that, as good as he is, and he has indeed improved, that there's still times that he will get flustered and throw the ball up for grabs. And that has caused him trouble in his career. Do you remember that, Mark, in the last game?
Sure.
That he made 2 untimely mistakes like that, and it cost him. I'm not necessarily saying it cost him a Heisman, because I think Daniels, and you were on this for several weeks now, Daniels was going to win regardless. But I think Bo would have been, if they would have probably won without any mistakes, that may have been much closer.
Brent, in your mind, who is the most impressive team playing in a bowl game before Christmas?
Oh, I would say maybe even one of the either Jacksonville State or New Mexico State, and they both play tomorrow. And people are thinking, who? Well, New Mexico State was a team that beat Auburn, and Jerry Kill, who has gone through a lot of health issues, for them to get where they are. I believe they've won 8 games, guys, for the first time since like 1964. And then what Rich Rod has done at Jacksonville State has been frankly amazing too. Both those teams are playing well, and they deserve a lot of credit too. You could throw Missouri in there, and that's gonna be a great game with Ohio State and how well they have played. I don't know. I guess my question to both of you is, can Missouri maintain and sustain what they're doing?
Yes.
But if most of that offense comes back, it's possible, isn't it?
It is very possible, Brent, especially when you consider that in my proprietary schedule formula to determine the hardest schedules in the SEC, Missouri has the easiest one, Brent. The non-conference schedule is really lame, honestly. First 4 games of the year for Missouri: Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vanderbilt. Okay?
Yeah.
Then 5 of their first 6 games, if you make it that, you can include UMass in that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then they end the season with Mississippi State and Arkansas. Come on. They have the easiest of the SEC schedules, and they're not challenging themselves in the non-conference, which is what I think teams are going to do now, Brent, in the 12-team playoff era. Why do anything to knock yourself out? Brent, I do want to ask you, while a novel could be written about all that's involved here, what's the biggest thing the NCAA could have done 10 years ago to prevent us from arriving where we are? And I say that the phrase I always hear from people, Brendan, I'm tired of it, is the NCAA dragged its feet. Well, but Brent, the courts are shooting down all of the NCAA's policies anyway. So if you look back at this and you're saying, man, the thing that the NCAA really needed to do that they didn't was what?
Well, I think I've shared this before, and it bears repeating. I've got a friend who's a consultant for the PGA Tour, and he is also a consultant for the college football playoff, among other entities. And we were talking about this one day, and he said what they should have done 10 to 15 years ago is, instead of fighting this, he said they should have given every player, and he just threw out a figure, like $25,000 a piece. And he said at that point in time, that would have been like $1 million to some of these kids, because they would have never received anything like that before. And he said if they would have done that and they would have capped it at that point, he said, I don't know for sure, but that may have kept this thing in check for several years, because they were making progress. They were getting some additional income as they go from there. Now, what I heard this morning was that the route we're going, and I don't want to get into legalese here, and I really don't, but is if there is shared revenue from television, that's going to make them basically employees, given the school, will that give the school the ability to fire them at any given moment? And are we going to be able to cover, when we all get paychecks, there are a certain amount of things on those paychecks that we probably don't pay much attention to, but will all that be involved with what these guys are doing? And where would we go at that point? That because they would have contracts, and I hope we don't get to that point, but I'm not so sure that's not where we're going.
Brent, could you foresee a future where college athletes are essentially academically exempt athletic employees or representatives of a university? Because, I can see an athlete easily suing, saying, well, the school can't make me go to class because it limits my time, number one, to get better at my craft practice, and number two, it limits my options time-wise to go out and seek NIL opportunities. You don't have the right to limit that of me. And then one day we have a situation where the student athletes, you take the student part out of it, they're just employees of the university not going to school.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I heard this week was, are we going to get to the point where that the colleges are basically going to be minor leagues of the NFL? And was it going to be somewhat of a developmental program type situation? I don't necessarily mean it's going to be the USFL or something like that, but I'd heard that this week also. But look, I still think there's a real value in getting an education and having that paid for, and not having a lot of debt left over from that because your own scholarship. I still think that's valuable. And I hope in 5 to 10 years, what we're enjoying now when we play games on the field is not unrecognizable. Is that possible, guys?
I hope so. Boop, 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 boop. We interrupt this interview with Brent Beaird to bring you Trey Davis, who's a huge fan of Brent Beaird, who has sent us questions for Brent Beaird. So, Brent, I would like to maybe do these. Let's spend the next 5 minutes, maybe a minute a question. He's got some questions that he wants to ask of you. He's a huge fan. Okay. And in fairness, Brent, he sent these to me a few weeks in a row, and I didn't remember to ask them either of the 2 weeks. So here we go. Brent, what started your interest in sports, and who were some of your favorite athletes growing up?
I started in the early 90s in Jacksonville. I was a caller into local sports talk show, and I went up and met the guys, and I saw what they were doing, and it just kind of hit me that this is something I could do. So I basically started with some of our local guys with doing advertising, I had a big notebook full of just facts about every school, and I went, and look, I have been a sports writer, radio and television. I've been a stringer at high school games, and like you two, just kind of work your way up the ranks, and it's been a love affair for me since the early 90s, frankly. And you get paid a little bit for doing it. Not much, but it does.
No, that's true. That's true. Number two, how did you get into reporting, and who were your influences? Anyone that helped you earlier in your career?
I probably I got into writing about preps, and I still, to this day, I have a real soft spot for high school sports, and I learned how to write, and I learned how to interview people. And listen, writing is hard work, but anytime you're in sports, if you can write, there's a lot that you learn through that. And back then, people were really into being accurate, quoting sources accurately, and the journalistic technique was very important. I mean, I remember guys like Tony Barnhart that I paid a lot of attention to, who I thought was really good. I mean, these were great questions, but that's kind of how it starts. Number three,
what are some of your favorite moments in sports you have covered?
I covered the 2009 Alabama Texas national championship game. I've been at several national championship games. One I'll never forget was, and you may have been there. Auburn was like they're in the top 5. They may be number 3. They played Florida in the Swamp. They got ahead 17-0, and Kerwin Bell led them back. Kerwin, who barely could walk. Do you remember this game, Mark?
Now coach of Western Carolina,
yes.
Kerwin Bell.
Yeah, yes. And Florida came back and won 18-17. And I will never forget that. And look, experiences like that, covering the NCAA tournament, things like that, they have an imprint on your life, I think, for a long time.
I've been to 2 national championship games, Brent. Florida, Nebraska, which I have no memory of.
Yeah, good.
And then Florida State the following year, which I remember every second of it.
Absolutely.
That, right. How did, this is questions coming in from Trey Davis, a listener and fan. How did you get the honor of becoming a Heisman voter?
Well, there was a guy named Mike Bianchi, who you probably know.
Of course. Worked with him in Orlando. Yes. He and I were at the same station in Orlando.
Yes. Mike, was he one of the regional directors when you were there?
Yes.
Well, he saw me at a game, and he said, "Look, I'm looking for some guys who might be interested in being a Heisman voter, who follow the sport and cover it every day. And I don't know anybody better than you could, who would know it. Would you be interested?" When I got up off the ground, It took me about 2 seconds to say yes, because I realized, and particularly at that point, what an honor that was to even be asked.
Brent Beaird joining us, asking questions from listener Trey Davis, big Brent Beaird fan. Trey says, he says, I see that Brent is also a chaplain, which is amazing. I'm curious, between your two professions, what are the most rewarding aspects and the most challenging?
Well, certainly challenging would be when you're dealing with people who are dying, and you're hoping that they find some peace and reconciliation at the end of their life. Now, I do a lot of television here, and when I do the television, there are a lot of places that I will walk into, and they either recognize my voice or they recognize me being on television, and sometimes my paths intersect in one way or another. But I'm going to explain it like this: I do my chaplain work gives me a real purpose and mission in life, and sports gives me an outlet. Because if you, I was always a big MASH fan growing up. MASH being the comedy with Alan Alda.
Yeah,
and I could appreciate what those people did. Look, I know it was a TV show, but they needed outlets. We all do. And frankly, sports is probably my second calling, or I wouldn't have stayed in it as long as I have. But yes, both my jobs give me a lot of meaning in life.
And he says this was meant to be asked before Thanksgiving. He probably did ask it before Thanksgiving, Brent, and I'm getting to it now. What are a few things you're grateful for?
Well, I'm grateful for friends like you guys. I'm grateful for. Look, I've got a friend of mine right now who is, after Christmas, he's going in the hospital for a heart transplant.
Wow.
And he's going to have to be in the hospital. He can't work, but he's got to stay there until they bring him a heart, and they're going to also bring him a kidney, because he's going to have a kidney transplant. And I've got another friend who I found out this week's got a large mass in his chest, in his lungs, and he's going to have, and he's already in stage 4. So I'm grateful to do what I do. I'm grateful to be alive. I know I've shared my faith before as a Christian, and I'm grateful for, forgiveness and God's love and peace and reconciliation and what that does in our life. And look, we in a lot of ways, it's kind of like the conversation that we had, you and I and Angela. As we say with one of my jobs, every day is a gift, isn't it?
Brent, what would you say has been the toughest Heisman decision that you've made in the last couple of years, or ever, if you want to go back as far as when you started?
I remember voting for, and I trip on his name sometime, but you remember the defensive lineman with that was so good.
Ndamukong Suh?
Yes. No one, and I voted for him.
Good for you.
And I went out on a limb to do that. Now I wasn't the only one, but I got some snickers for doing that. But I said, look, I don't care what position they play. If you're the best player in the country, that's who you ought to vote for, and that's who. And I thought he was. You guys remember him?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. He was as dominating of a lineman as I remember in a long time. And I know people argue that it's not a lineman's award, but my thing was, and it still is, if you're the most dominating player in college football, can I vote for you for the Heisman?
Brent, here's an interesting question. I had a friend bring this up. This is not my question. It's not my concept, but I would love to get your perspective on it. how is it that Jordan Travis wasn't a shoe-in for the Heisman Trophy when it's the trophy is for the most important or most valuable player in college football, when Jordan Travis's absence was deemed so important that it kept them out of the college football playoff? Wouldn't you say that that would make him the most valuable player in college football?
There's a real logic to that. I mean, he was number 5 in the voting, and it really makes you wonder if he was healthy, where he would have been. I still think probably Daniels would have won because he had video game numbers. But I mean, that's a really valid point. Was there's no way in the world that they would have been undefeated without him. I mean, obviously he missed the last few games, but I mean that you can't escape that logic, and that is, and he should have been thought of that way probably a lot more than he was, and probably should have got a lot more votes.
South Carolina fans crowing, Brent, 6 transfer portal signees. Clemson fans biting their fingernails, none. And Florida fans trying to prevent the wheels from falling off.
Yes.
Yes. You know, what are your senses as I share that with you, as what the next few days are going to hold?
Well, Rocket Sanders going to South Carolina, I think, is one of the biggest pickups of anybody. I still say you didn't see it this year. You saw it a couple of seasons ago. When he's healthy, I think he's one of the best that you've got. DJ Lagway is in Florida this week, and that's going to be huge to hang on him. And I'm sure you know this, Mark. Diesel probably does too. A&M is making a real push for him, obviously with his ties to the state of Texas. I still think he's going to stay at Florida, and that's going to be huge if that happens. I mean, look, it's still early for Clemson. I mean, the portal is open until January the 2nd or 3rd, and Dabo has got time to reach in there if he's willing to do it. And again, as we've said, you know, Dabo, you don't have to get 20 of them, but if you could get 5 who could really help you, it'd be worth it. And I think your fan base would also appreciate that. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to try to cover that game down here with Kentucky in the Tax Slayer Bowl. I know they will travel well, but it would be a real shot in the arm if they pulled out a few surprises from the portal that with a few key positions.
Brent Beaird, another year, my friend, has come to an end with us, graced by your presence on the show. We love having you on, my friend, and wish you the merriest of Christmases. This will be our last show. Diesel and I work through next Tuesday, and then we are off for Christmas break. But, my friend, I'm sure we will be in touch. We love you, my friend, and we wish you a Merry Christmas to you and the Beaird family, brother, daughters, and everyone included. Thanks so much for all you do for us, pal.
Well, love you guys too. It's greatly appreciated, and I enjoyed and appreciated the questions too, guys. Thanks much.
You got it. All right, Brent Beaird, Heisman Trophy voter. All the questions in from Trey Davis here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. The tweet is posted. I can't believe this is true. Tickets for the Carolina Panthers home game versus Atlanta are available on StubHub for $8. $8 for an NFL game. Things that cost more: one movie ticket, a fast food meal, a haircut, parking, likely to that game, a 3-pack of undies. If you contributed to any of those, thank you very, 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 very much. That's now been seen by 4,423 people.
The sad thing is Dave Tepper will get to claim weather is the reason why people aren't showing up. People aren't showing up because it's going to be 50 degrees and torrential downpours.
Yeah, that was one of the responses, Diesel. He goes,
Yeah.
it's because of the weather. And I'm like, I had to look
Sure
at
it
my
is.
phone and I'm like, wait, yeah, but these, give me a break. You mean to tell me that people like on Monday said, oh, the weather on Sunday is going to be bad when these start to come in with no demand on them? No demand whatsoever. You got to be kidding me, bro. You absolutely got to be kidding me. So I want to ask you guys about this. What are, in your opinions, the future of college football bowl games? What's the future here? We've got bowl games tomorrow, 11 a.m., Georgia Southern and Ohio, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. We've got a bowl game at 12 o'clock, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, Howard and Florida A&M. Then 2:15, Jacksonville State and Louisiana. I think Jacksonville State does like the dude from Karate Kid and puts him in a body bag over Louisiana. Then we've got App State plays tomorrow, Diesel. Yeah. Tomorrow. Now explain this to me. Miami of Ohio, 11-2. Are they the MAC champions?
I think so, yes.
Against Appalachian State. How is App State a 6.5-point favorite with a record that is 3 games worse?
Miami of Ohio are going to be playing with their third-string quarterback. This is a mistake that I think Delvin made this mistake. Sorry, Delvin. I don't think you can go back and change it now.
No.
He was saying that I want to see how Blaine Gabbert's little brother can do. Blaine Gabbert's little brother broke his leg like 4 games ago.
Yeah.
And so he's been out. And the backup quarterback who's been filling in for him for the past 4 weeks, they went on a 4-game winning streak to end the season. He's entered the transfer portal. So now they're down to their 3rd-string quarterback. I think Miami's defense is going to be fine. Their defense was really good this year. Their special teams have been really – apparently they have a just lights-out punter. Like he's going to put you inside the 10-yard line every single possession if he can.
When we're talking about the punter, it's usually not a good sign.
Well, I'm just saying it's a very important part of the game, though. I mean, if you're constantly penning the other team inside the 10, inside the 15, it makes it really difficult on that team. So a good defense and good special teams, especially I don't know how Miami is at returning punts or kickoffs, but good defense and good special teams, that'll keep you in a lot of games. And if you've got a serviceable offense, then you're going to be fine. And they had a good offense until they, lost QB 1 and 2.
And they made sure on a bowl kickoff that has 4, 5, 6, 7 games that they gave us a couple games featuring Power 5 teams. We get Boise State against UCLA. We get Cal against Texas Tech. Those are in the Starco Brands LA Bowl. That used to be the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, I think. And the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. The Independence Bowl is now? Didn't it used to be a better bowl than now? Cal against Texas Tech. So my question to you guys is this, okay? What is going to happen to these games with the expanded 12-team playoff? And I'm not asking you a literal question. Okay? Because the reality is literally they're still going to be around, right? They're not going anywhere yet, or so we think. But do you guys are we still, how are these games going to be viewed once there is a 12-team playoff? Is it going to change? Are they going to be heightened in importance, lowered in importance, right? Are they going to become more irrelevant than maybe they already are? Look, I don't doubt that it's a huge opportunity for teams like Georgia Southern and Ohio. They get to be on national TV, right? ESPN, all these networks, they've got time they need to fill. Every single bloody day, they've got time they need to fill, right? Jacksonville State, Louisiana, huge opportunity for those teams to be on national television. right? But I'm talking more about the Utahs and the Northwesterns of the world and the Minnesotas of the world and the Kansases and the Louisvilles and the USCs. When there is a 12-team college football playoff, and we're all looking for that 12-team college football playoff, do these bowl games completely fall off the radar, or are they unchanged? Are they unchanged, right? And I'm hopeful that at minimum, they'll be what they are. I'm hopeful that at minimum, they will be what they are, okay? But the reality is when you've got 18 different schools that are going to have a success or failure determination on their season based on whether they made the 12-team playoff, you're going to have a lot of teams, a lot of players checking out. And Diesel, the thing that burns my brownies more than anything else is when we continue to have guys like Kelly Ford, whom I love, say Mark, and guys like Josh Pate, whom I love. You're going to have players opt out of the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have morons on social media that defend that decision. How much money are they getting paid for the playoff? How much money are they getting paid in the NFL? They said, wait, it's going to happen. Because remember when the first bowl game opt-out happened, then it became a flood, and we all, guys like me, jumped all over the guys opting out of bowl games. Diesel, I'm shuddering at the thought of like Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State. He's got a tough decision to make. Is he going to play in the college football playoff or is he not? Why?
Yeah.
Well, because that could be another 4 games for you. If you're not one of the top 4 seeds, that's another 4 games if you win the whole thing.
I think where we're going to have to go with this, you don't like this. There's a lot of people who are not going to like this. We're going to have to go to college athletes are employees of the university to hold them to some form of performance standard. They're going to have to be employees. They're going to have to be under contract that says you will play through the entirety of the season unless deemed ineligible by a team doctor, not your doctor, not your family doctor, not your mom calling in and saying Johnny's not going to play because he's stubbed his toe. No, a team doctor is going to have to deem that you cannot play. That's where this is going to have to go. I don't like it either. I know you and millions of other people want this thing to go back to an honor system. Well, we believe in the university. We love the school. It's not going back to that. It's just not. It's never going to happen. As far as the bowl games being more or less meaningless going forward, I think it's going to matter about the same. Honestly, it's going to matter to the teams who are in those games, to the fan bases of those teams who are in those games. And it's going to matter to a small smattering of fans from rival schools who maybe just want to see their team lose, to conference fans of other conference teams who are just kind of quasi interested in what happens. I'm kind of interested in how Louisiana does in this bowl game. So I'll watch a little bit of it. It's like, is it too much of an ask to ask a national audience to care about Missouri versus Utah? Like, why would a national audience care about that? Neither one of these teams are blue bloods. So a national audience is probably not going to anyway. It's the same thing. It's fans of those schools, a handful of fans from rivals and other conference mates who are quasi-interested, and that's about it. I do think there are far too many of these bowl games, and reducing them by increasing the win total required to get into a bowl game would sure as hell be helpful. But I don't even think that would really improve interest anyway. Like, are you significantly more interested in watching 2 7-5 teams play each other than you were watching 2 6-6 teams play?
No.
So, like, does it really matter? And then at the same time, you're saying, well, if there's a business or handful of businesses willing to sponsor a bowl game and give, 150 student athletes plus coaches and staff an opportunity to come to a vacation destination and enjoy themselves for a week, who are we to begrudge them for having that opportunity?
Diesel, what I'm most disappointed with is internally of myself. I'm disappointed in myself is I've never been one to allow other people to tell me how to feel. But because I feel like largely America's checking out of these games, well, I care, but if not many other people do, look, these games, New Mexico State, Fresno State, the bowl game used to be bigger than any game they played in the regular season. I grew up, I lived in Colorado when I was a kid, and Colorado State played Oregon in the Holiday Bowl, and it was their first bowl game in 36 years. And the whole town, Diesel, of Fort Collins, Colorado, shut down to watch Colorado State play Oregon, and they won. They beat Oregon in that bowl game. And it's just to be a part of that community and feel that and experience that, to go from that and allow myself to now be in a place where South Florida, Syracuse.
But see, that's what I'm talking about, is fans of that school, fans of Colorado State, shut down their town to pay attention to this. Why should somebody living in Abilene, Texas care about Colorado State's first bowl game in 36 years? They don't. They're not going to. And there may be a few who say, ooh, that's an interesting storyline. I'll check in for a few minutes of this. But that's about it. That's all you're ever going to get until you get to the playoff and until you get to the Blue Bloods playing in their bowl games.
All right, my friends, up next, we need tips from you for our Christmas shopping. Where are your go-tos? That's next here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. It's MARC RYAN and DIESEL. We are the Fan Upstate. Tremendous to have you guys with us. All right, I want to hear from you on the carpro.com text line or via the phones. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663 is the number. What percentage done are you guys with your Christmas or holiday shopping? And then, because I believe this is typically before the time of the show when my wife is listening. Honey, if you're listening right now, please let me know immediately because I'm about to get a bunch of tips, okay? Let me know. But I believe she's normally listening, it's a safe bet after 5:20 p.m. she's listening, okay? So I'm not saying that we've ever changed around the rundown based on when she may or may not be listening, but here we are. What percentage done are you guys with shopping for Christmas? And I got to be honest with you, the schedule has been so jam-packed lately that I worry I'm going to be one of these people, Diesel, stuck for 4 hours on Woodruff Road, not able to move, because it's coming. I was getting off on 85 today on the Woodruff Road exit, and the backlog just to get off the exit was already on the interstate, and I'm like, oh, this is Christmas traffic. So do you guys have any go-to spots around town that are like it's a great spot for stocking stuffers?
Amazon.
Yeah. Stop, Diesel.
No, Amazon. I did all of my Christmas shopping on Amazon this year.
Well, but what if I need stocking stuffers, but I don't know what to get? You're telling me Amazon. How do I
Amazon?
Find it? What do I do?
They have hot deal. They have shopping and they have it listed by category for men, for women, for parents, for kids.
Stocking stuffers? Can I look up stocking stuffers?
Just sort prices low to high.
But I don't know what I want to buy.
That's the thing is you're browsing. You're just browsing of all here. It's here they've curated 100 items for a young boy.
Okay.
So say you're looking for stocking stuffers for Jackson.
Okay.
Curated items for a young boy. And you just scroll and be like, oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. And it's just what do you consider to be a stocking stuffer? Ashley and I, we've never really done stockings. and we just don't do it. So, but this year we're doing it. And you don't stuff stockings with more expensive items. You stuff stocking with cheap items.
I guess I don't feel like I'm communicating this effectively. Here's what I'm trying to say. I've only ever gone to Amazon when I know what I want to buy.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use Amazon when I don't know what I'm
Here, I'm going to show you this. This is fantastic.
I don't know how to use it. But more than anything, guys, what I value is getting to walk through stores. By the way, the wifey has already texted in that she's listening. Kiss emoji.
At
4:49, sweetheart, you are 30 minutes early. This is not supposed to be happening at this time just yet.
Here's what I just did for you, Mark. I searched on Amazon gifts for women.
Okay.
And then you can highlight categories that you're like, oh, that might be nice. And then you just scroll down. It's like there's thousands of items that you could buy for women right there.
I've never used it that way. I've only used
it
when I know what product I'm going after.
You're trying to make this way too hard.
Yeah. Well, see, Diesel, but also like, isn't that kind of like it's against the local stores what you're doing?
Well, sure it is.
It's kind of like Starbucks over the local coffee shop.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, so what's your problem? Well, I mean, I kind of would like to enjoy the process of just going out and observing.
Did it sound like you didn't sound like you enjoyed it very much when you said, oh, I got to go sit on Woodruff Road for hours to get from one block to 5 blocks down?
I don't want to go on Woodruff Road. That's why I'm relying on
Amazon.
Diesel's acting like the only two choices are Amazon or Woodruff Road gridlock. Those are the two choices. Guys, Diesel, I would say I'm about 70% done. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there's a few people that I'm totally done for, right? There's a few people that I'm zero done for. And in those situations, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And then in other situations, I'm close. I'm about 70%. Unfortunately, like we're Fast and Furious, got a network show tomorrow. You and I have shows Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday night when I'm off the air on the 19th, I'm free and clear. But then I'm going to be one of those idiots. Procrastination is like masturbation. It feels good until you realize you're screwing yourself.
Yeah, but if you got Amazon Prime, it'll be here in 2 days.
I don't have that either.
Well,
I don't have that either.
Madcraft here makes a good point. He goes, Five Below is a pretty good is a pretty good place for stocking stuffers and smaller gifts. Everything there is $5 or below.
Where is that? Oh, that's on the
There's one right over here.
Oh, Five Below.
Right over here off Woodruff Road.
I've never entered foot in that store in my life.
It's a madhouse this time of year.
No idea what's in there. What's in there?
It's kind of like a Spencer Gifts type place. It's like there's a ton of random gifts and it's kind of mixed all over the place. So it's a gift store and it's a relatively inexpensive gift store. Understand that if you're buying something for $5 or below, there's a very good chance it's crap.
Well, by the way, my wife says I'm listening. Kiss. I'll turn the channel. I like surprises. That's good, Diesel, because you know what else you take note of? Like what you got your wife a year ago, that it has been sitting in the box for the entire year and never been used. If you are a smart Christmas shopper, you're aware of that. And Angela has not used the entire year, sweetheart. Okay. One of these is probably on me, Diesel. I got her like a s'mores kit that like you pull like the gas thing and you set it and you can heat it outside and it's got like a tray. Haven't used it once. Yeah. I also got her slime. I thought it would be funny, like a custom slime that's like it's $20 slime. And you put like cotton candy pieces and you mix it all up and it's like hardcore slime. It was on Shark Tank.
Okay.
And never opened it. She doesn't like messes. Slime is messes, never happened. I need help, guys. I need help. Where do you go around her? Diesel says Five Below. Texter says
Madcraft said Five Below.
Madcraft, Five Below. Trey from Kentucky says Mark the Mast General Store. That's in downtown Greenville, right?
Yes.
Downtown Greenville. Okay. Texter says Mark Diesel is right. Amazon, baby. Amazon been done for weeks with Christmas shopping. Thanks to Amazon Ron. Texter says 2 or 3 gift certificates for a pedicure. This always works. I bought a vacuum for my first wife. Doesn't sound like you like her very much, Texter, I bought a vacuum for
What
her.
if you'd only ever been married one time? You were still married, but you introduced her as your first wife to everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, this is my first wife, Ashley.
Urban Nirvana gift card. What's that, Diesel? Urban Nirvana. Is that around here?
I've heard of them before. I've never been in one.
Urban Nirvana gift card, sexy outfit from the mall, comfy PJs, and bathrobe. Season tickets to Furman basketball games.
Urban Nirvana is a spa and salon.
Oh, but the season tickets to basketball games, that's not for her, is it? That's for you. That's like getting her Victoria's Secret and say, look what I got for you. How thoughtful am I?
I can tell you the one thing I don't ever want.
What's that?
And people always buy it for me. It's the beard, I guess. Hot sauce. Don't buy me hot sauce. Don't buy me hot sauce. Don't buy me barbecue sauce.
Why?
They're going to stay in the box. I'm not going to use them.
Why?
I'm not going to use them. I don't know. I hate it. To me, it's like a thoughtless gift. It's like, oh, you were walking through a Belk and here's the one display of last minute gifts for men. I've been bought barbecue sauce at least 3 times in the past 5 years, and I leave them all in the box on principle. I don't want them. I don't want them because to me, it's a thoughtless gift. Like I said, there's a display, usually at a Belk or an Old Navy, and you just grab it off the shelf like, oh, I need something for that person. No, it's thoughtless. Don't even bother.
Nothing quite beats the thoughtfulness, Diesel, of scrolling through Amazon for your gifts. And
hey, at least I'm looking at it and saying, I think they might actually like this.
Texter says, I'm like Big Lou. I'm on wife number 2. Hey, there you go. I knew.
Are you a bit
coming.
porky too?
I knew that was coming. Guys, this sucks so far. Your effort sucks. I need better than this. Like where do you go? What are some good spots around here?
Ooh.
Stocking stuffers, creative gifts ideas. You guys have given me Five Below and Mass General Store, and outside of that, you're like Amazon, Mark, Amazon.
Mad Craft says you should introduce your wife as your ex-fiance.
If I want to die? Why would I do that?
Well, she is your ex-fiance. She's not your fiance anymore.
Oh, that's also true.
Yeah, your wife is your ex-fiance.
That is true. I guess technically that is true.
But in your situation,
sweetheart, what do you yeah, I've had yeah, third time's the charm. All right. Up next, we've got the top 5 at 5. Can you give me better ideas than this, Upstate? A better idea than this? Like, what place around here has good gifts, creative gifts? You guys are lame. I need better from the Offsiders. You guys are the smartest audience in radio history. It's Offsides, the Fan Upstate. What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Absolutely, positively thrilled to have you guys with us. Truly do appreciate you more than I could ever put into words. All right, getting gift ideas and shopping ideas from you here on the show. We value and appreciate that very much. I'm about 70% done with my Christmas shopping. Diesel, what percent done are you?
I'd say probably about 80. I got to get something for the niece and nephew, and that's it.
Not bad.
I had an idea of what I wanted to get for the niece. But it turns out what I wanted to get her is a subscription box, and I'm not paying for a subscription box. I'll get you one, and then if you like it, you get your subscription. I think you follow the same guy on YouTube. You know that guy Mark Rober, who's the former NASA engineer. He became famous. If anybody might know who this guy is, he became famous for creating the glitter bombs that would spray glitter and fart spray all over porch pirates stealing packages off people's front doors. Yeah. And he's got a massive, massive YouTube channel that's stemmed from that. And one of the things he does is he curates and sells STEM boxes, which is, science, technical, whatever it stands for. But my niece is 12 years old now, and she's kind of into the science and the engineering type stuff. And I thought, man, this would be really great. So I went on the website to buy one. You can't buy one. You have to buy an annual subscription, which is like $400. And I'm like, get out of here. I'm not buying a whole year of this stuff.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not happening. And they're trying to sell everything in bulk these days, Diesel. It's crazy, Jackson liked these little animal slingshots where you put your finger inside the animal's mouth and you pull it back.
You put your finger inside the animal's what?
Inside the animal's mouth. Right?
Gotcha.
You pull it back and then you release it. Well, Angela wants to get him some. They only come in a pack of 30. 30. Who needs 30? How about 3 for $1? Okay? Give me a break. Give us some help around here, will you? All right, so creative ideas around town. What do you got? And it's not just helping me out or Diesel out. It's helping your fellow offsiders out. All right? Do you got a secret store that you're willing to not allow to be a secret anymore? To share with us, share with others, stocking stuffers and more? 844-326-3663 is the number. Do we have a willing volunteer? Look at this. Nelson is coming. I hope Nelson gets to stuff a stocking this holiday season for calling us up right now, Diesel, with these ideas. Hey, Nelson, you're offsides, pal. How are you?
Hey, I'll give you a little something unusual if you just want some junk to throw in stockings. And that's, I love there's 5 or 6 of the Ukrainian Russian stores around town here in Spartanburg, and they have thousands of European candies, chocolates, meats, cheese. I mean, everything you can think of. But it's different stuff because it's from Eastern Europe, a lot of it, and so just a lot of different kinds of candies and things.
Nelson's
like that.
not wrong there, because most Europeans think our candy, like I'm talking about our bulk Hershey's candy, the cheap stuff, is inedible. It's awful. They won't eat it.
Now, Nelson, what's your go-to one of those stores? You said there were 5. What's your favorite one?
Oh, there's 5 or 6. Well, there's like 60,000 Ukrainians and Russians in town now. I tell you, I love the one. There's one on 176. That's Highway 176. If you go up I-26 and get off on 176, like you're heading into Inman, between 26 and Inman.
What's it called, Nelson? What's it called?
Oh, the Sweets Company.
Why didn't you lead with that?
Oh, the Sweets Company.
Okay, the Sweets Company. Okay.
Yes, they sell a lot, but they have a coconut, raspberry, blueberry cake in there.
Wow.
That I cannot buy it, because if I buy that, they have a lot of desserts.
Yeah, but how are you supposed to stuff a cake into a stocking, Nelson?
Oh, no. That's just to eat on your way home. If I buy one, I'll eat the whole thing on the way home.
Well, why don't you buy 3 of them and you bring them down to the studio? We can have a good time.
Nelson's been stuffing a cake into a stocking ever since he's been married.
Ooh.
So there you go. There you go.
The cheeses, really, really good deals on cheeses and things like that, but they have a lot of candies.
You can tell Nelson's a good man, Mark, because he went right past your joke.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Drove right past it.
The Sweets Company. Nelson.
Yes.
We appreciate you, sir. This is exactly what we were looking for.
Nelson, I don't know if you've heard it yet. And while you're still on the phone, I hope you've heard this. But if you didn't know, you have become a drop on our show. That's a prestigious club to be in, and this is yours.
I despise Clemson. I don't even like their kids or their dogs.
And that was funny, Nelson. That made us laugh. So now you are on our button bar. You get played on the show regularly. If you haven't heard it yet, there it is.
What do you think about that, Nelson? Isn't that cool?
Well, it's still true. So I appreciate it. We can play that. We can play that until the day I die. Okay.
So the Sweets Company. Merry
Thanks,
Christmas, Nelson. Merry Christmas, buddy. Merry Christmas. The Sweets Company. That's what I needed.
Foreign candy. I like that. My
Yes.
buddy comes home, goes and visits his family in Brazil once or twice a year, and he always brings back a bunch of like duty-free candy and stuff that he can get from the airport. Foreign candy is so much better than American candy. Like blows it out of the water. So much better.
What is the name of your cheese place again?
The Cheese Wheel.
The Cheese Wheel.
Yep.
Okay.
That's on
Cheese
Augusta
Wheel.
Street near the hospital downtown.
The Sweets Company, and he's given me the instructions like 123 and buy Inman, and I'm like,
You got to drive. Drive till you see the big oak tree. Go 50 more paces. Like paces? What are you talking about? I'm in a car.
drive left until you smell it, drive forward until you step in it. I mean, Nelson, I don't have the first clue of what you're telling me.
Madcraft says Sweetco Euro Food. Said that's a place you should go. Sweetco Euro.
That's the same thing that he just said, I think, Nelson.
No, he said this. He didn't say the Sweet Company. Sweets Company. This is Sweetco.
Is Sweet Company. It's short.
Is this the same place you're talking about, Madcraft, or is this a different place?
Sweetco Euro Food. Okay. See, this is what we ask. Why do I have to get angry with you guys for you guys to start giving me good ideas? You know, like the first 5 or 10 minutes of these just were awful.
So there you go. That is the place he was talking about. Sweetco.
There you go. Texter says, I'm going to take a dump in Nelson's dog food bowl. Do something like a canvas or a handmade picture book of your wedding. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I did that for our anniversary, though. It's awesome. Toy Federation in Greer is excellent. Collection of new and vintage toys. Toy Federation in Greer.
Or you could you were down to see your parents. You should have gotten something out of your old toy collection, because that's now a vintage toy. Because you're well past 40 now.
Redtube.com, Diesel. What is that?
Oh, come on,
what
Texter.
Is that, Diesel? What is
Texter,
that?
that's dirty.
Estee Lauder.
That is dirt. Don't write that down.
Estee Lauder.
That is dirty.
Okay, I am writing down all these ideas.
Roger Carper says Nelson is a Gamecock fan. He's trying to finger paint directions.
Urban Nirvana. And we've got 5 below finger paint directions. Mass General Store. Oh my gosh, you guys are absolutely killing me with this. Absolutely killing me. Did any of you get my joke to Nelson? He didn't get it. I'm glad he didn't get it. Nelson seems like a good man that I do not need to be corrupting with jokes like that.
That was buffoonery. That was complete and total buffoonery.
It was. It most certainly was the case. See, I do appreciate this. I do appreciate this. And because I appreciate what you're telling me, I'm going to tell you, because, you know, my philosophy is always, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Okay. Urban Digs in Greenville.
Digs.
Digs.
Excuse me, Digs.
Yeah, Urban Digs in Greenville. It has a lot of...
When you say it fast, it sounds like something else.
It has a lot of upstate specific stuff, you know? So like stuff about the upstate, for the upstate. And that's been one that I've really liked over the last few years. I want to say, Diesel, it is off of Stone Avenue. And what's the road that's Hall of Fame is on? Wade Hampton.
Yeah.
Stone and Wade Hampton. It's a little bit before Hall of Fame Sports Bar and Grill is where you can go there.
Roger Carper said, get your kid a year's worth of adult magazines. You'll never see him again. Roger, we're trying to raise good young men up in here, Roger. By a show of hands, no, by a show of numbers, what percentage are you guys done with your Christmas shopping right now? Look at this list that I got here, Diesel. I mean, only I can read it, but I got a hell of a list here. The Sweets Company, the way I wrote it. Do you write in hieroglyphics?
It looks like the Sweats Company, the way I wrote it.
One of those looks like a bird sitting on a branch.
It most certainly does. Okay, guys, great ideas. Thank you so very, very much for this. This is exactly what I was hoping for. And as is always the case, when you ask for help from the Offsiders most certainly deliver. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to run to a break. And when we come back, we are going to get to the top 5 at 5, one segment late. That's next. This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides.